Well, here I am bringing another project home, and this is actually not a new project. This is one that's been sitting around for quite a while. Went and dug this out. It's been laying behind the barn at my dad's place for several years now. This is an old Mott flail chopper. It's a tow behind, and you tow this around behind a lawn tractor, a garden tractor, or a four-wheeler, and it works just like a bigger flail chopper would on the back of a farm tractor that would run off of the rear PTO, or like the ones on an arm that the municipalities use to mow road banks. Same thing. As you can see here, it's just a shaft underneath there that rotates with some L-shaped blades, and those L-shaped blades just destroy everything in the path of the mower. Everything they come in contact with, they just shred it on up. So it's safer to use one of these if you're mowing into stuff that you don't know what's in there, because unlike a rotary mower, like a zero turn, a push mower, or a lawn tractor, this is not as likely to throw a projectile out that could go through a window or through a car door or through a human. So it's safer in those regards, but this is up there with like a wood chipper as far as you don't want to get anywhere near it. Once those blades are engaged, once that shaft is spinning and it's starting to mow, just stand back, because it'll just tear some stuff up, and you don't want to get any hands or clothing or feet or anything near this thing while it's in action. Now, the flail chopper has a Briggs Stratton 8 horsepower single cylinder flathead engine on there. I'm not even going to mess around with that. Just going to replace that with a brand new Predator overhead valve 8 horsepower engine and get this thing up and running a lot faster. And here's the specs for the new engine we're putting on. Right off the box here, you can see here's all the information. If anybody's wanting to know anything about these engines, just pause the video and get all the information there. And move on to telling you about this Briggs engine and why I'm just not really into working with it. All right, so here's the Briggs engine that was on the flail chopper. And this is actually the second Briggs engine that was on there since it's been around here. The original one was an older flathead. This one here, this is a 2002. It's the Industrial Plus 8 horsepower flathead Briggs engine. And you're probably saying, well, why didn't you bother to fix this one and try to use it instead of buying that brand new Predator engine? Well, what it really comes down to is the ease of maintenance between the two. You know, this is a 21-year-old engine. You don't just go out to local places and find parts for this thing when you need to get it up and running or fix something. You might be saying, well, where do you get parts at for that Predator engine? Well, there's a lot of them out there. They're a common current engine. So air filter, stuff like that, pretty easy to find. There's other parts that they use that are interchangeable with Honda. And there's a lot of Honda engines out there that you can find, you know, ignition coils and stuff like that for, and some more parts that would work on that Predator engine. But, you know, just the simplicity of the maintenance here on the Predator compared to this one. You know, I'll give you an example right here is the air filter on this Briggs engine. If I want to check that air filter, or I want to replace that air filter, I need a screwdriver or a 5/16 socket to open that up and take that apart and get in there to the air filter. Obviously, that's why somebody hasn't been doing it. They couldn't find a screwdriver or a socket. I took these nuts off of here and the screw out of here because I wanted to show you on this one, there's actually a fuel pump hidden back there. So if you let this thing sit, you know, over winter time, or let's say it sits for almost an entire year, good chance that fuel pump, the diaphragm might go dry. You know, where are you going to find one of those at? That's not a common fuel pump like on the bigger engines. You know, that's not like the black Walbro fuel pump, and it's hidden back in there. So it's tough to get to if you want to check any of that stuff or do anything with it. And because it has that fuel pump, you got the extra lines, because you got your fuel line coming around here to the fuel pump, and then going from the fuel pump to the carburetor, but you've also got the vacuum line coming in there from the crankcase. So you've got, kind of hard to see, you've got all these extra hoses to dry rot, to crack, that need to be kept up with. Then under here, you have, oh, way up there, there you go. You got a kill wire over here, and then you come over here to this side. Now this one did have electric start, but you've got wires over here because you got your oil sensor over here, and then you come up to here and you got your on-off switch, so there's wires going up there. That's a lot of wires going to multiple places. they're all right there in one area on the Predator. Real simple. The Briggs has the plastic gas tank, which I do like that compared to a metal one, obviously. But these, over time, we all know, they're known to start leaking at the seam. And 20 years old, what are the chances that's going to start leaking on me and I'm going to have to replace that gas tank, which is not going to be cheap. So it came down to, oh, look at that. We've got a fuel leak right there now as I'm talking about this. Looks like somebody didn't put clamps back on those lines at the filter. But anyway, you know, it came down to the general maintenance. I know this one has electric start, but it was never hooked up. There was no battery on that Flail mower. Obviously, you didn't see anywhere to put a battery. So yeah, it wasn't getting used. It's not like that was a big feature. But yeah, that was the main reason when it came down to just the service part of it. If something goes wrong, getting it back up and running and what it's going to take and just how simple it is. The Predator is just a lot simpler engine. I mean, it's a copy of a Honda, and we all know how great Hondas are and how well they run and how easy they are to maintain, so why not? Alright, so just here real quick, since I just showed you that Briggs engine and some of the things I didn't like about it compared to the Predator, show you here on the front, all of our electrical stuff right here. Right there, one spot. I should have also pointed out that the dipsticks on the Briggs engine, you know, you got your big fuel pump, or I'm sorry, your big fuel tank that comes out here over top of it. Makes it hard to get in there to check the oil or add the oil. This one here is just right out there, wide open, easy to get to. The one in the back, it's tucked down in here a little bit, similar to what you see with the Briggs engine, except the Briggs engine had that tall muffler that came down even further, so you know that was kind of in the way. So that's a big plus. But getting back to this here on the Predator, everything with the fuel right here, throttle, choke, fuel on and off. We had the throttle down here on the Briggs engine. The choke was up here. To turn the fuel on and off was up here where the fuel tank was at. So again, easy, convenient. The air filter, as I mentioned on the Briggs, you have to have a screwdriver or a 5/16 socket. This just unsnaps right off of there. And there's your air filter. Wing nut on the top. Real simple to maintain, real simple to check and to get to everything. Just an all-around nicer setup compared to the Briggs engine. So that's what I'm talking about when I say just easier maintenance. But big thing is, I'm just glad that this Flail chopper is up and running and we can actually use it. I mean, there's still some stuff that needs to be done with it. It's really out of balance because there's a bunch of broken blades underneath there. So I'll have to get some new blades and figure out something with the belt, because as soon as you start the engine, it wants to try to engage the belt and start spinning the shaft with the blades. So play around with that a little, but again, the big thing is it's at least usable right now, and we can modify that stuff and fix it up as we go and get some use of it out of it here before we tuck it away for the winter time. So hopefully you guys got a pretty good idea now of what this thing's capable of, and why I'm so happy that it's up and running. We got a lot of stuff that we can chop down with this baby, and because it's so small, it's going to be easy to get in there to cut down some of the stuff that's been neglected for a little bit. It's also nice to have something like this if you want to go out and just cut a trail through the brush. If you can get the tractor in there to tow it, or a four-wheeler, cut a nice trail through the brush when you go out there hunting or something. A lot of possibilities with this baby. And something else I should probably show you guys here in case anybody was wondering. You can set this to different cutting heights, and the way you do it is you move the bracket here for the wheels. You can see that there's holes there in the front, holes here in the back, and I think there's like 4 different settings that you have there to be able to move the wheels up and down. So that's how you adjust your cutting height on this. Again, it's a very simple, very basic design. I just saw just a shaft with those like L-shaped blades that swing around in there. This is the same type of thing they use for mowing road banks and stuff. You'll see the arm coming off the tractor, and they have a flail mower like this to just chop right through everything. It's nice and safe because it's not throwing it out like you would with a rotary mower. This shield here, though, while I'm talking about that, if you ever buy one of these or come across one, you want to make sure that shield is there, because if it's not, you got mowing stuff, it's just going to shoot a big arc up out of there. And gets to be a little bit dangerous then, kind of like your rotary mowers, but you know, that shield, if it's missing, doesn't take a whole lot to make something up to put there to cover it up to keep any accidents from happening and make this thing a bit safer. You can see that shield is just a pretty simple piece of sheet metal, and again, you make sure that you got that on there because it will fling some stuff out. So that's it. That's going to do it for this video here. Any questions, or if you just want to leave some comments, feel free to in the comment section for this video. Or you can reach us at eshelmaniatv@gmail.com. That's going to do it for this video. As always, thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe to our channel.